Mas? Mas?
The movie opens in a market in 1970, in the town of Semarang. We see a man named Sucipto, whose shop is crowded with customers, while his wife's brother, Sardi, who owns the shop across, watches jealously as no customers are coming to his store. Later, Sucipto brings his savings to the hospital, telling his wife Marni that their son Ardi can now have kidney surgery. After the operation, Ardi wakes up with blurry vision. As a nurse goes to call the doctor, he sees a ghostly old man. Just then, the doctor arrives, leaving Ardi confused. Next, we see Ardi playing at home when he suddenly sees the same old man again. Frightened, he looks again and finds the man even closer, which makes Ardi even more scared. That night, while closing his shop, Sucipto finds a strange packet outside. Curious, he opens it, finds weird items inside, and quickly throws it in the bin. As he gets into his car, he feels a sharp pain in his shoulder. At home, Sucipto tells Marni his shoulders feel heavy. He wakes Ardi to give him medicine, but as Ardi looks at him, he suddenly screams, pushes Sucipto away, and runs to Marni, terrified. He says there's a creepy woman, and we see a ghostly figure sitting on Sucipto's shoulders, causing his pain. The woman haunts Ardi, making him scream in fear. Later, a man named Rustam examines Ardi and tells Sucipto that Ardi's third eye was opened after the surgery, allowing him to see the invisible. What he saw last night followed Sucipto from the market. Rustam says he's removed it. Sucipto asks what he should do, as it will be difficult for Ardi to keep seeing these things. Rustam explains that while the third eye can't be closed, it can be narrowed, meaning Ardi will only see those who choose to show themselves. He also advises Sucipto to keep Ardi away from the market, a place full of fraud, lies, and deceit. The market, he warns, is connected to the supernatural, with deals involving polytheism, the devil, and black magic. The scene then shifts to 1983. Ardi and his sister Syifa are now older, and they have a younger brother named Arif. Here it is revealed that Arif has interest in ghosts and supernatural things, and he read books related to these topics. Ardi asks his mother for pocket money, and she tells him to stop by the market and ask his father. Hearing this, Ardi hesitates a bit. Marni advises him to be quick and not look around. Next, we see Ardi arrive at the market. He takes a deep breath and gathers himself before walking toward his father's shop. As he walks, he spots a ghostly old woman, but he ignores her and moves on. Suddenly, he sees another ghost behind him. Terrified, he runs and accidentally bumps into a man. The man gets angry and walks away, and a woman tells Ardi not to take it personally, as the man's daughter died just 2 weeks ago. Ardi runs to the shop and enters to find his father and his uncle, Sardi, arguing. Ardi's uncle storms out angrily and leaves. Ardi asks, "Dad, how long Uncle Sardi will hold a grudge against us?" He says that if your shop is always busy and you have your family, what's your fault? Meanwhile, Uncle Sardi has lost his entire family and barely has any customers, so it makes sense that he's jealous of you. Sucipto stops him and reminds Ardi that Sardi is his mother's older brother. Ardi then asks for his fee and pocket money. Sucipto goes inside a room to get the money, and Ardi waits outside. As Ardi walks away with the money, he notices the man he had bumped into earlier watching him. Suddenly, Ardi drops the money, and ghostly figures appear before him once again. Frightened, he runs off. Later that night, Arif tells Ardi that he heard if someone has a sixth sense, their siblings might have it too. Who knows? Maybe Syifa can also see ghosts. Ardi then explains him that having such a gift is not a blessing, it's nothing good. Next, while closing his shop, Sucipto hears a crow and notices one perched nearby. Just then, he spots a black pouch on the ground. Curious, he picks it up and is shocked to find a skull and bones inside. Fearfully, as he moves, strange noises begin to echo around him, but when he turns to look, The noise stops. The eerie sound starts again, and panicked, he starts running. Hearing the same eerie sounds, Sardi also steps out of his shop. Sucipto hurries toward his car, and suddenly the noises cease. As he runs and gets into his car, it suddenly starts shaking violently. Terrified, he steps out and yells, "I am not scared!" And everything goes quiet. He then pulls out the pouch from his car and throws it away. When Sucipto gets home, he tells Marni that he's tired and wants to rest. Marni replies that she'll be sleeping with Syifa that night. Later, as Sucipto sleeps, he grows restless and finds himself dreaming. In the dream, he's floating in the air when he sees a woman performing a strange ritual. He yells, asking who she is and what she's doing to him. The woman curses him, saying, "Make this man and his family all dead." Then, she inhales smoke from burning coal and walks up to Sucipto, releasing the smoke into his mouth. Suddenly, his body starts twisting painfully, and he screams. In reality, Sucipto is seen in the air and then crashes back onto his bed. Hearing the noise, Ardi comes out of his room and heads to Sucipto's room to check on him. He finds Sucipto sleeping, and as he turns to leave, a shadow is seen. The next morning, while having breakfast, Sucipto starts coughing. Ardi offers him water, and as he drinks it, he suddenly vomits blood. To his horror, maggots start appearing in the vomit. Terrified, Sucipto gets up and he collapses, losing consciousness. Ardi rushes to help him. Just then, a shadow appears in the room, but as soon as Ardi turns to face it, the shadow vanishes. The doctor then tells the family there are no internal injuries and suggests Sucipto stay for 2 days of observation, but he refuses, wanting to go home. At home, his staff suggests seeing a psychic, suspecting black magic due to jealousy over his popular shop, but Sucipto dismisses it, saying he doesn't believe in witchcraft. Marni then requests everyone to let him rest. As they leave, Ardi picks up a book titled Evil of the Unseen and begins reading about black magic. He learns that a certain kind of black magic uses invisible creatures to harm and even kill people. The next day, Ardi drops Marni off at the market. Marni's brother sees her and asks about Sucipto, wondering if she'll be taking care of the shop in his absence. Marni agrees. He then gives her some herbal medicines for Sucipto. Marni asks Ardi to take the medicines home, but on his way, Ardi throws them in the dustbin. Meanwhile, we see Arif returning from school. His caretaker informs him that she is going out for a while and has informed her mother as well. Then, she leaves. Just then, a door opens and Arif goes to check. He finds his father sleeping and quietly closes the door. Suddenly, another door opens and he spots a black pouch. He approaches it, picks it up, and opens it to find a skull and bones. A gust of wind begins to blow, and Arif starts hearing voices. Terrified, Arif throws the pouch aside and runs inside, closing the door behind him. Later, we see that Arif has developed a high fever, and his family decides to take him to the doctor the next morning. Arif requests Ardi to sleep with him. He tells his siblings that he loves them and asks them to stay strong and brave. Later that night, Arif's voice wakes Ardi. He tries to calm him and goes out to get some ice-cold water. Just then, a shadow appears on the wall, walking toward a room. The wind blows and the table lamp flickers. The door to the room opens, and Ardi goes to check. He finds his parents asleep, but suddenly Sucipto begins to act strangely. We see something crawling under his skin, and an insect crawls out of his nose, flying around the room. Ardi immediately strikes the insect and crushes it with his foot. Suddenly, Sucipto starts having seizures. Ardi quickly runs to wake Syifa and calls for an ambulance. Just then, Arif screams, and Ardi rushes to his room. He looks in his ear and pulls out a thread, which causes Arif to scream in pain. Ardi pulls harder on the thread, and a shard of glass comes out. Suddenly, blood starts pouring from Arif's eyes, and he screams in agony. A piece of glass emerges from his throat and crawls down, tearing through his body and heading toward his stomach, killing him. Ardi calls out for his mother, and they come running to find Arif brutally dead. The next day, we witness Arif's burial ceremony. Ardi notices his uncle Sardi there, and, in anger, tells him to leave, blaming him for everything. Sardi quietly offers his condolences to his sister before leaving, while Ardi yells yells in frustration. Later, the doctor informs them that Sucipto is suffering from chronic brain dysfunction. Although he appears conscious, his body shows no signs of self-awareness. Next, we see Ardi cleaning his father while Syifa tries to feed their mother. Watching them, Ardi feels heartbroken over his family's condition. He asks his mother if she still remembers Mr. Rustam and requests his contact number, believing someone might have used black magic on them. The scene shifts to Mr. Rustam arriving at their home. He tells them that Sucipto is surrounded by dark forces and that Arif's death is connected, but he's unsure about the type of magic used. When Ardi asks what they should do, Rustam says he can only remove it once he identifies the exact spell. For now, he gives them an amulet for protection and warns them never to remove it. He also cautions Ardi not to confront anyone suspected of using black magic, as it could be fatal. Ardi agrees. The next morning, Ardi tells Sucipto he's going to run the shop. As Ardi leaves, Sucipto struggles to say no. Ardi struggles to get customers, and one staff member mentions that since Sucipto fell ill, business has stopped. That night, as he tries to attract customers but gets ignored, a woman asks for 1 kg of rice. As he hands it over, he notices black liquid dripping on rice. Suddenly, the ghostly woman screams, "Where is your father?" and vanishes. Terrified, Ardi goes outside to check and sees the woman entering Wichak's shop. He enters and spots a shadow behind the curtain. Pulling it aside, he sees a photo of Wichak's daughter and a black magic setup. Just then, Wichak arrives, grabs Ardi by the collar and says, "Your father killed my daughter." He pushes Ardi away and he runs off. Then we see a fireball strikes the roof of Sucipto's house, and Marni hears the noise of it hitting. Her amulet breaks, and without noticing, she leaves her room as the noise continues. Meanwhile, Syifa's amulet also breaks. Terrified, Marni opens the main door and spots the same black pouch. She opens it to discover a skull and bones. As she tries to throw it away, a gust of wind blows, and the strange noise rushes toward her. She throws the pouch and quickly runs back inside, slamming the door as a vase falls and shatters. Hearing the noise, Syifa comes out, sends Marni inside, and while cleaning the broken vase, realizes her amulet is missing. The scene shifts to Ardi arriving home and noticing the pouch with skull and bones. As he inspects it closely, his amulet breaks. He quickly rushes inside and sees his mother has a fever. He tells Syifa to call Rustam. Rustam arrives, examines the pouch, and says it's likely from the east. He warns Ardi not to touch or open anything like this again, as it could be cursed. Hearing this, Ardi angrily goes to his uncle. He asks him, "What kind of curse have you put on our family?" Sardi yells back, "I haven't cursed your family. I'm the one who's been protecting you all." He then reveals a shocking truth. It was Ardi's own father who had been practicing black magic. A flashback begins, showing Sucipto approaching Sardi for help. Sucipto explains that he has been laid off and wants to start a shop. Sardi helps him in every possible way to set up his business. One day, Sucipto finds a white pouch. Curious, he opens it, only to discover it contains black magic items. Sardi quickly snatches it away and throws it out. But strange things keep happening at Sucipto's shop. Weird objects start appearing there, and different people send all sorts of things to ruin his business. Eventually, he begins losing customers. Sardi tells Ardi, "At that time, you were also very sick. At first, your father didn't believe in witchcraft, but when things kept getting worse, he thought it was his only option. So, he went to a shaman named Dai. After visiting her, his shop suddenly became the most popular. The shaman's powers were stronger than those of the others. Your father took away all his rivals' customers. I warned him not to get greedy, but he didn't listen. Revenge and greed consumed him. Then one day, your mother had severe stomach pain. When the doctor examined her, he found nails inside her stomach, something impossible to believe. Terrified, your father ran to the shaman, and she performed a ritual to cleanse Marni's stomach. Afterward, she told your father that Wichak was behind it, and that this wasn't the first time he had sent such attacks. Enraged, Sucipto asked her to make Wichak sick in return, but later, Wichak's daughter fell ill with severe stomach pain. She began vomiting, and suddenly nails came out of her mouth. She then coughed, and a nail was forced out from her throat, followed by more nails tearing through her neck. killing her in the end, Sardi says. The counterattack was meant for Wichak, but they missed, and it hit his daughter instead, Sardi warns. Whoever Wichak is using as a shaman is extremely powerful, Ardi protests. My father would never use black magic. Mr. Rustam said he doesn't do such things, Sardi explains. That's because your father has a protector, hiding his use of witchcraft. I know this because I used to practice black magic myself, until I lost my family because of it. I work at the market, and like you, I can see things others can't. I know everything that happens around here. Still unconvinced, Ardi accuses Sardi of making up stories to cover his own wrongdoings. Sardi replies, if you don't believe me, go check your father's office upstairs. Ardi rushes to his father's office and breaks open the locked door. Inside, he spots a black cupboard. As he opens it, he's shocked to find a black magic setup hidden inside. Among the items, he finds a book. Flipping to the last page, he discovers a phone number of Shaman Dai. Ardi dials the number and asks, can I speak to Dai? The scene cuts to Ardi arriving at Dee's house. Ardi introduces himself, but as soon as he mentions Sucipto's name, the woman's expression darkens. She says, my mother helped your father, and now she's bedridden because of it. She explains that Dee can no longer protect Sucipto because Wichak has turned to a shaman whose powers surpass her mother's. They come from the east, and they use a type of black magic which is called Segoro Pitu. She explains that it's a high-level witchcraft, which requires the sacrifice of the soul, based on hurt and revenge from the sender. They have to perform long rituals with an agreement ceremony, which is done 7 times at 7 different coastal points on Javanese soil. It's done to summon an evil spirit from across the Java Sea. Its ability to cross oceans proves how strong it is. The evil spirit's name is Swangi. Ardi returns to Sardi and asks if he know anything about Segoro Pitu. Sardi denies. Just then, a large flock of crows suddenly flies over them. Sensing danger, they rush to the car and speed off toward home. Meanwhile, at home, Marni asks Syifa to get her some hot tea. Just then, a crow is seen sitting on the window outside. As Syifa prepares the tea, a dark shadow enters Marni's body, and she immediately starts experiencing intense stomach pain. Hearing Marni's screams, Syifa runs inside and is horrified to see Marni's stomach swelling unnaturally. Marni starts bleeding heavily and shockingly expels a skull from her uterus. Then, a barbed wire tears through her stomach, emerging from within and pulling out her intestines. Syifa is terrified at the sight. At that moment, Ardi and Sardi arrive home and rush inside, only to find Marni in a critical state. Eventually, Marni dies. Meanwhile, Sucipto lies on the bed, hearing all the chaos outside but feeling completely helpless. Next, we see Marni's burial ceremony taking place. After that, Rustam arrives and informs them that he has performed a ritual and discovered some clues. He explains that there is a way to break the curse, but for that they must perform Ruwat, a purification ritual using water collected from 7 beach points where Wichak conducted his dark rituals. Someone must travel to all 7 beach points, gather water from each, and then purify Sucipto with that water. The purification must be performed on Sucipto's weapon and must be completed before 8 p.m. on that day. They still have 5 days left. Rustam adds that he will need Sardi's help to prepare and set up the ritual. He also tells Ardi that he can help him fully open his 3rd eye, but they'll need someone else with a 6th sense, because at each beach point, 7 guardian figures will be present, protecting the locations. Even if those spirits try to hide, Ardi and his companion will be able to see them. At this moment, Syifa volunteers to go with Ardi. Rustam asks if she truly wants to open her 3rd eye, explaining that he can only do so with her consent. Syifa agrees, determined to help break the curse. Rustam then performs a ritual to open the 3rd eye of both Ardi and Syifa. As the ritual ends, the scene shifts to day 1 of their mission. While Ardi and Syifa are traveling to the first beach point, back at home, Sardi notices a crow perched on the window outside Sucipto's room. Meanwhile, Rustam begins preparing for the ritual. Ardi and Syifa finally reach their first destination. They spot the exact place where Wichak had performed one of his dark rituals. Syifa blows out the candle, and Ardi collects the water. But as they turn to leave, they suddenly see a spirit guarding the place. They immediately start running. When they glance back, the spirit reveals its horrifying true form. They rush to their car, but even there, ghostly apparitions and spirits begin haunting them, appearing around the car. Ardi quickly starts the engine, and they speed away from the terrifying scene. They then reach their second destination, and as after collecting the water, they are leaving the place. They are haunted by a spirit. Ignoring it, they quickly run from there. Meanwhile, Rustam continues his prayers. At their third destination, while Ardi is collecting water, Syifa is haunted by the spirit of an old woman. Syifa calls out to Ardi. Ardi quickly comes to her rescue. The second day begins, and they arrive at their fourth destination. There too, they encounter a spirit. They rush to collect the water and immediately run away after securing it. At the fifth destination, they are haunted once again by a different spirit. On the third day, they reach their sixth destination, where a headless spirit appears and tries to scare them. However, they manage to escape. On the fourth day, as they arrive at their final destination, Ardi goes to fetch water. While returning, he notices footprints in the sand. Suddenly, a hand emerges from the ground and pulls Ardi down, causing the water bottle to break. More hands rise from the earth, but suddenly the hands release them and disappear back into the ground. Then, they notice a chariot standing nearby. A strange man approaches them and says, "This water is a gift from our queen," and hands them a pot. Ardi thanks him, and they hurry back home, carrying the water they collected. Meanwhile, at home, Rustam and Sardi hear a strange noise. They step out to check, but Rustam advises Sardi to stay inside while he goes to investigate. As Rustam starts praying, suddenly the lights go out. Both Sardi and Rustam get scared. Just then, Rustam hear a terrifying growl, followed by the sound of heavy footsteps. A demonic hand emerges, and the demon finally reveals itself. Rustam begins praying more intensely, but the demon attacks him, breaking his hand. It then grabs his head, twists it, and crushes it until it bursts. Hearing the noise, Sardi comes outside and is horrified to see Rustam's lifeless, headless body. Terrified, he runs back inside, but the demon appears right behind him. The demon grabs Sardi by the neck, lifts him into the air, and pierces his chest with its clawed hand, ripping out his heart. It then throws Sardi's body aside and devours his heart. Suddenly, the lights come back on, and Syifa and Ardi arrive home. They enter the house and are shocked to find Sardi's lifeless body. Suddenly, Ardi notices Rustam's mutilated body. He goes to his father's room with the water pots. He begins the purification ritual and calls Syifa for help. Together, they continue the ritual. Just then, the house door slams shut on its own, and the lights go out. Ardi tells Syifa to stay inside and goes to search for a flashlight. As he finally finds one, his hand accidentally touches the demon's foot. He looks up in horror, and the demon kicks him hard. Syifa rushes out and freezes in terror at the sight of the demon. As the demon approaches them, Ardi yells at Syifa to continue the ritual and tries to distract the demon while Syifa resumes the purification. But the demon turns towards Syifa and violently throws her across the room. Syifa cries out to Ardi, urging him to finish the ritual. As Ardi continues it, the demon becomes furious and attacks him, hurling him aside. Then, the demon drags Sucipto's body away. Ardi grabs the last bottle of holy water and throws it against the wall. The water splashes onto Sucipto, completing the ritual. The demon lets out a horrifying scream as its body begins to burn. Slowly, the demon is completely consumed by fire and, at last, vanishes into ashes. Just then, the lights come back on, and Ardi immediately rushes to his father. Syifa quickly joins him. After a moment, Sucipto regains consciousness. He then apologizes to his kids. The scene cuts to Wachik, who senses a shadow behind the curtain. The lights go out, and as he goes there, the candle blows out. Wachik rushes to his shaman's door and knocks urgently. She opens it, and he tells her that his candle went out, asking if Suwangi can still complete the mission. She explains that she's making a talisman for protection, and warns him that those who send black magic will be attacked if the creature they summoned loses. Suddenly, all the candles extinguish, and they hear a growl. The demon appears, advancing toward the women. It grabs her and tears her body in half, then attacks Wachik, devouring his head. The scene shifts to Sucipto, who has recovered, along with his shaman Dai. She reassures them that the demon's power is gone since it left Java. Ardi says, Witchek's witchcraft is over, and asks his father about the magic in his shop. Sucipto apologizes, promising never to use it again. He then goes to his office with D, make offerings to the spirits, and requesting them to leave. The candle blows out. They leave the office, and the movie ends here.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the chills, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. Until next time, stay spooky.